Hi everyone, good morning. So while the sun is shining out here this morning, I wanted to do a early February garden tour. I missed January's, but we're still pretty close into January that it could be sort of functioning for both. So let's take a look at what our garden looks like now. Hi everyone, so we are past January at this moment, but I wanted to do a, early February garden tour. It's pretty sunny this morning, so that's really great. So our fountain here is working as it should be. Once it gets direct sunlight on that pad, it actually starts using its function of spilling out that water. But every now and then, around 11 or 12, when we start getting shade here, that does stop working. So it's a bit unfortunate. So here we have some coreopsis. They are still in the growing stage, no blooms at the moment. I think it's more of a summer bloom that we'll start seeing. These small petunias are still doing really good, super bright red. It's really nice to see as we stand, I think more that side, because they seem to reach towards the sun. We have our topiary here. It's still getting nice and bushy. We did trim up this lollipop topiary over the weekend. It was getting a little bit bushy. Our bougainvillea is blooming again. Some evolvulus here, they have morning blooms as well, those nice blue purple. I did get some hawthorn bushes here just to sort of cover the trunk of that bougainvillea. I think these are Mona lavender, no blooms on those either. This was an old one from last year, that's why it's just a stick. There's aspen playing in the plants. These grasses are really good. He actually likes just laying underneath this tree, and it's sort of just his own little escape. But these grasses are safe for him as well. Some snapdragons here. They're sort of a little bit taking on the heat at the moment. I did move some heather over from the terracotta bowls just to not throw them away. Just planted them here into the ground. It'll look like this. These small purple blooms. And if I don't like it after a while, I can just remove it and actually put in a drift of something nice, because there's quite a bit of space here to fill in. Our painted lady hibiscus is pretty much done. I hope here in the spring we're gonna start seeing some more blooms. I did add some fertilizer down here, but Aspen likes to nibble on those, so I needed to cover it with some grass there, or some leaves. And here is our latest addition. We got, it is Sargent, let me see what it was, Sargent something. Professor Sargent, Japonica anemone red. So they are these beautiful bloom, peony sized and design sort of blooms, really nice pink to red. It's starting to see some buds. A lot of buds actually. Here it's gonna be exciting. The only example that I saw was on this one, and that one already fell off of the plant, but this red is another good representation of it. We have some blue grasses back here. He also likes to sit on those. Let's see, this one, I forgot what it was, but it does have some fall color. It sort of was turning from these greens to a red color like that. And over here we have our Filipino violet, really nice purple blooms. And then at the moment, but they'll come in, yellow hibiscus. And I did have some extra seeds from our seed starting beds that I didn't want to toss when I was thinning. So these are calendula, I want to say. We have some daylilies underneath the hydrangeas. I did go in to clip, he loves mulch stuff. Nope. I did go into clip, so at the end we'll start seeing two little extensions coming out. So everywhere I snipped one, we should get two out branching. So that's very exciting. I want to see if I could actually get these to successfully rebloom, and that'd be really cool to see. We also want to add some bistro lights. So we have these white containers on opposite sides, because we want to get them attached to the house. So this is our January look, or end of January, early February look. We can walk over to our snapdragons. I have been cutting on them, and these are cut and come again, so there's many buds coming in. This side here is going to bloom first, and these I pinched off earlier, so they're going to take quite a while to bloom, maybe a couple weeks delayed. but that's good for succession planting. So you get more buds for a longer length. So a lot of them coming in here. We have a pink one. This looks like more rose, peach color. Really nice blooms. Another bud, maybe a green one. And then yellow. This one's already ready. Usually, I think I've read for when the bottom two are open, that's when you can go ahead and snip them. And I try to snip it low, just for the longer stem, and then also so it's not just a bunch of sticks sticking out. And then over the weekend, we actually did this project. We had this left over from the planter bed that we destroyed or demolished in our front, and made room for those 3 Japanese blueberry trees. So we kept it. It was in perfect condition. It was this cool design. So we left those there and added this sort of border here on the edge. And now for the project that we did over the weekend was adding this sort of barrier, because Aspen loves to walk in there, just trample around and actually eat some of that mulch. So we did want to deter that. We had a bunch of leftover pieces of black aluminum from our fence posts, just because the height, we didn't want it to be like super high. So we had leftover those with this project actually in mind, that we wanted to create small planter beds, or ended up being used as a barrier here. So sun doesn't quite reach this side of the yard yet. It starts there and then progressively comes over here. But we did add this chast tree here. I ordered 2, or I had 2 from the store. So I got one from here, or placed one here, and then the other one we had placed there on the bend side. So here we have about 5 globe alliums, so very exciting. The leaves are starting to get some sort of wither, some sort of, I think it's a fungus whenever this happens to plants, or it could be like over/under watering. But I got my first bud coming up here, and hopefully we'll see a nice big purple bloom there in a couple more weeks. Here is where we planted our seedlings. I want to say English daisies are the majority of these, and we have some balloon flowers on the edge that are quite smaller, and there's another variety that's in here, so it should be 3 overall. I did water it in the morning, so they're a bit kind of leaning. And we have a blue salvia here, so I think that's gonna definitely be a large backdrop to the flowers up front. And he found his way in here. We have 3 more alliums here. I wanted it to be sort of a succession, so I planted 3 there. These are hawthorns. I don't know the variety, I took the tag off, but they are gonna have little white blooms on them. So this we left open just to access the hose link. And he's smart enough to figure out how to get in there still, so we have to figure something to deter him from eating this mulch. This one, I also forget what it's called. It has yellow bloom, so more of a late summer bloomer. Some leftover salvia from last year. These are, I want to say salvia, but they're smaller. They're more purple, versus the back ones here are going to be blue. So here we added some seeds. This side I was more cautious about how to spread them, so it's less compact, and I'll probably have to do less thinning. It could just be just this and have a nice show. These were leftovers, still doing good. And again, we have, flanking the same as the other side, 5 globe alliums. I don't think I see any, oh, there's one there, one bloom here, so we should see 5. And then I successioned 3 more, so there's still 1 needs to come up. And then here we have our trees. They're doing really good. I actually started seeing more leaf growth on the chast here versus the one on the wall, because this gets more direct sun, and it does take a while for sun to reach that side. We have some tulips that we planted here, and I put some alyssum on the top, and it's starting to grow in, but I don't see any sign of the tulips just yet. So I think I put daffodils at the bottom and then tulips at the top. And I did also add about 5 more alliums on this side, because they weren't getting enough sun really where I placed them before, now that that planter is there. So hopefully we'll get 5 alliums here, and just as another form of succession. It'll be there, then the next planting, and then finally here. But the violas, slash pansies, and the marigolds are doing just great here. They get sun first thing in the morning. Next we have is our planter beds. Here I transplanted some Crispidia that I had inside under grow lights, so they're still trying to grow on. Some calendula that I transferred over. We went through all this in an earlier video, but here I'm starting to see so much growth on our poppies, and I kind of want to divide them because there's such a big cluster here. I don't want to impede their root growth, but for the most part they're all here, and then I think the spread of the rest of them are going to be just fine. I did plant some tulips here. We'll see if they grow. Again, I'm concerned with the amount of sun and the amount of water that we get here, but it hasn't rained too much just yet. It's more of a summer thing. I transferred these because they were just in a little seedling tray, but I wanted to start getting some growth on them, and if they grow, maybe they'll spill over the sides. I think that'll be a nice look. Next we have is our Jane Magnolia. This one is getting excellent growth. Look at that. Look at these blooms they're gonna get. Look how huge this has swollen to, from something maybe this small to this huge now. I'm excited to see if these get to bloom the first year, or if I'll need to wait a second year. Next we have is our lemon tree, our Meyer lemon tree. These are getting larger, I feel, every day. And then we have our seedlings here. They're all doing really great. I had the thought this morning of removing these calendula and actually planting them out into the garden, and then I can actually have a second succession of calendula grow in here as well. And he has a hidey hole in there. Look at that. The last thing that I wanted to show today was our large planter bed here. We have some tulips down below, and then, daffodils down below, and then tulips on top of that. And then on top of everything, I put some alyssum. They're supposed to be like a purple blend. It's gonna take a couple weeks for them to actually start to bloom. So was it a good idea? I'm not sure yet, because I don't see any of the tulip or daffodil growth yet. So possibly it'll work as like a sort of green cover. And then around the edge, I went ahead and snipped some of the salvias to see if the propagation method would work. Since I'm going to be watering this pot anyways, I thought it could be like a dual source, or a dual use. So here we have the salvia bits and then the alyssum on top, just sort of covering everything. But if the salvia gets watered enough here, possibly they'll root, and then I'll have new little baby plants. Alright everyone, thank you for joining our early February garden tour for the missed January. I hope you have a great day. Thank you for visiting my first garden.